That's probably the thing I can't stand the most in this world is slow walkers.
Yeah.
You have somewhere to be, go.
But some of us just can't walk as fast.
That seems like a you problem.
It is a me problem.
Deficiency.
And my problem is you walking so fast.
Good morning, everybody. This is Brad Johnson, co-founder and reporter of Texas Bullpen, for the first weekly edition of Texas Bullpen Podcast. And this time, as usual, probably, although I might boot you off the ship here and there, I'm joined by Jonathan Ritchie, my fellow partner in crime, co-founder, and also reporter of Texas Bullpen.
Yeah, very excited. We've had just an amazing launch week so far. So thank you for everybody who's signed up, who's been reading, who's been responding, giving us feedback. You know, it's just been overwhelming. It's no notes really. If I could go back and do it,
not a single one.
Not a single one. It was perfect. It was beautiful. Best launch that's ever happened in the history of the world. The only thing is I wish we'd been getting some more sleep, but you know, this thing's been fueled by coffee and country music and good vibes, and we're super excited about all of it. So very excited to be here. Hope you all enjoy the podcast and keep enjoying the newsletters and everything else.
We are currently taking a break from spreadsheet hell to record this.
Yeah.
Going through one of our perks for subscribers and also as premium subscribers is a list of all the fundraising reporting numbers of everyone running statewide, state legislative level, and the State Board of Education. We'll have that updated at the end of the month when the federal filings are due and filed. And so right now we are enjoying a bit of a break from that.
Yeah,
We've been slogging through that.
Been crunching numbers, just looking at it so that you don't have to. We're putting ourselves on the line for you, dear readers. Yeah, I've never seen so many numbers since, I was last in school. It's tougher. It's tough for a word guy.
It's like that gif of Zach Galifianakis in The Hangover where he's trying to do calculus on a decision, and it's just like numbers and equations floating by his head, and he's just like, oh my god, yeah, that's exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
But yeah, this has been great. I'm super excited about how this has gone. Glad to finally get it off the ground because we've been working on this for a while. I probably back in the summer is when, particularly I made the decision just screw it, let's go, let's do this. That was of course during the summer redistricting fights, which
Yep.
I was also covering. But it's been a long time coming, and we're glad to have a good team around us. We've got Cassie; she's over huddling behind the camera right now, doing the spreadsheet work. But got a good team around us. Other than that, setting up the website, all this stuff, and we're moving forward.
Yeah, it's been awesome. And in case you haven't had a chance to go to the website and look at everything that we have to offer, the main product is our daily newsletter. So every morning you get the newsletter that's called the Daily Bull, and it's everything you need to know about Texas politics in about 10 to 15 minutes. So it's your one-stop shop for everything you need to know. And then on top of that, we have 3 weekly newsletters. We have your analysis newsletter, fourth reading of great acclaim, of long-standing history and accolades and laudations from everybody. We'll have, and that's on Tuesday. Then we'll also have my weekly newsletter on Thursday called Fault Line. And then on Saturdays, we have a little bit more of a fun one. It's called the Bullpen Scoville Scale. We'll be ranking the spiciest things that happen in Texas politics that week. And, we're in the midst of ranking and cataloging this first week, and it's already so fun. I think that's going to be maybe one of our favorite ones to write, because it's just, as we gear up to get closer to election and obviously session, I mean, it's probably going to be hard to pick just 5.
Yeah.
And the podcasts will also be released on Saturdays in that email, so straight to your inbox. And then on top of that, we have our long-form, in-depth, highest quality reporting on the website as well. So ton of things, ton of content going to you all the time because, like New York, Texas politics never sleeps. So
It is amazing how untapped this market is politically, particularly by the national guys. And every couple of years we hear about one national outlet or another really thinking about jumping in and starting their own Texas branch, and they haven't.
Never happens.
And we saw a lane, and we decided we're going to jump into this. People love in DC the daily morning email model. Politico Playbook, Punchbowl News, both have it. The Dispatch has one that a lot of people like. People like to wake up and read what they need to know about the state political, the political scene that they're following. In DC, obviously, that's federal. There hasn't really been that here. And so when we were brainstorming this idea, that's the flagship product. And that's Daily Bull. And you get that every morning, every weekday morning, in your inbox at 5 a.m. That way we catch the early birds, which Richie is not one.
No, it's
I'm
not.
more of
I
an
have
early
been
bird.
this week.
Yeah.
I like wake up in a cold sweat at 5 a.m. and read the newsletter that I just read like a few hours earlier, just to make sure it hasn't changed. It's great every time.
Yeah. It's like reading a new thing every day.
Yeah.
You're like a dementia patient.
We're working on that.
Hopefully, as we get settled in and stuck to our groove, you're not staying up until ungodly hours. But
I just do it for the love of the game.
for the love of the game, yeah.
You wake up early though. You're very
I'm an early
riser.
bird. Yeah. I've been waking up at 5.
Not that
to
we know
read.
too much about each other's
Yeah.
sleep schedules.
No. We certainly haven't spent too much time together at this point.
Yeah.
I'm frankly getting sick of seeing you at this point.
Many such cases,
Yeah.
honestly.
But any input on why you decided to join this?
Well, I mean, Brad, you and I have been friends for probably coming up on 5 years now. I'd spent a lot of time in the press corps, and that's how we met, covering some similar events. And it was one of the things that we talked about a lot, is that you go back and you read the articles from like Texas Monthly in the 60s and 70s and 80s. I mean, you are just transported into the room where things are happening. And it's fascinating. It's engaging. I mean, you walk away from those articles really feeling like you were almost a participant in what happened. And so I think we just shared a very similar love for journalism and wanted to kind of dive back into that and kind of hold the reins and cover those stories in a way that really helps, I think, bring people into the room with us.
Yeah. That's the goal, at least.
That's the goal. I mean, because people just don't have the time, and we're able to go into those rooms and cover those stories and hopefully do it in a way that's entertaining and grabs people and lets them feel like they're with us. And so, I just, for years, just emailed you articles and then would badger you relentlessly until you read them. I would bring books over and be like, you got to read this. You got to read this. Tom Wolfe, Hunter Thompson, all the guys. So very excited to have this off the ground and the opportunity to hopefully provide something that the people of Texas really enjoy and appreciate. So,
and I've been covering this political scene for over 6 years now. Got my start with the Texan, and I was there until December last year. And it was a great run. It gave me the footing I needed to get familiarized with this state and just the wealth of intrigue that is here, and gave me a platform. And we have parlayed that into this. I was able to get you and Cassie on board, but you kind of alluded to it earlier, but both of you have been in the room where it happens. You understand the internal dynamics. Myself, before I started doing journalism, I was in consulting, campaign consulting up in Ohio.
Ohio, where is that?
Some might say the Midwest, yeah.
Midwest, man, that sounds like a far away. Never remind people that you're from Ohio, okay?
It was a long 20-hour U-Haul drive to get here.
Golly.
But I got here as soon as I could, okay? So we're launching this. The goal is to provide the inside political dynamics and reporting that you and I enjoyed reading in Texas Monthly.
And I think, it's very good to highlight, the fact that you've been doing this for a long time, because going back to kind of how the national outlets always try to dip their toes in Texas politics, but it really takes being around for 4 or 5 years before you have a grasp, a real grasp of what's going on. Who are the players? What's the plot lines? Because legislature only meets once every 2 years. So if you come in for, a month or two to cover, say, redistricting or, some of the other big stories, it just doesn't have the color that I think really communicates the richness of what's going on.
Well, think about it this way. If we were to try and cover federal politics, not being in D.C. and in the U.S. Capitol, the stuff we write wouldn't be worth the paper it's printed on.
Yeah.
And so when you have the opposite try and occur...
Is our stuff printed on paper?
It's a saying. It's a turned phrase, okay, Richie? I'm about to boot you off this already. It's only episode 1. If we tried to cover the U.S. Capitol the way we cover the Texas Capitol, it wouldn't be good because we're not there.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be here at the Texas Capitol all the time. I can't tell you how many hours I spent on that House floor, which was fun. It was my favorite thing to do is just stand in the back and watch the hive, all the action. It was great. And
it's awesome. I remember last session I would pop over and say hi some late nights and hang out with some of the boys, and you'd be there just running around as always. It's like, there he goes. If you've never met Brad walks really fast. It's very tough to keep up with him.
That's probably the thing I can't stand the most in this world is slow walkers.
Yeah.
You have somewhere to be, go.
But some of us just can't walk as fast.
That seems like a you problem.
It is a me problem. And my problem is you walking so fast.
So anything else you want to add about launch week, how it's been?
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't been following along, the day one big get was a long-form sit-down interview with Governor Greg Abbott. It was you and him in the mansion library, the governor's mansion, and it was just a really great conversation. I mean, do you want to hit on some of the highlights there?
Yeah. I had a friend text me, and she said that after watching the interview, I've never seen the governor so personable in a media reporting setting. And I kind of realized that while I was interviewing him. He was joking around a little bit. I was trying to make it more conversational than just lobbing questions and then sitting back and not talking. I think it turned out well. A couple things stuck out other than him making the same joke he always does whenever he sees me about HD 151, which we have the
that was the highlight, giving you a signed bumper sticker. I mean, that's the...
It was pretty cool.
Yeah,
although I wish the joke would die. It'd be nice.
See, I don't know why you want it to die. I mean, at some point you're just going to have to run.
I'm going to get memed.
Did you submit your finance reports? They were due yesterday.
Oh, shoot. I better get on that, shouldn't I? So the governor, we hit a lot of topics. He came out and said flat out he's going to win Harris County.
Yeah, that was a big shot called.
Harris County. Yes, it was. And I guess the analysis there is he's got nothing to lose for that, right? If he loses Harris County, oh no, he lost the county that Republicans had been locked out for a while on, right?
Yeah.
But
honestly, almost saying locked out might be an overstatement because really the margins are a lot closer than I think people really understand. Mm-hmm. It was less than 20,000 votes kind of last cycle on the county judge race.
22, yeah.
Yeah. You even go back to Obama's second term. He only won Harris County by less than 1,000 votes, and that's not that long ago.
Harris County was a red county.
Yeah.
And then when the beta wave happened, it flipped and it never went back, but that doesn't mean it's not gettable again for Republicans, right? So Abbott is planning on putting, I think the number I saw was $20 million into Harris County to try and flip that. I guess the question I would have, the follow-up is success, is obtaining the goal there for Abbott just him winning, or is it driving down ballot success for Republicans? Because we saw last year in 24, that's now 2 years ago, a group like TLR put Texans for Lawsuit Reform put tons and tons of money into, this would happen across the state, but it was especially prevalent in Harris County to try and take back judicial races, and they were successful on that. They flipped a bunch across the state, and a lot of them in Harris County, focusing mainly on the crime issue.
Yeah.
I'm sure that'll be a feature again this time around. But the governor would be a force multiplier for that with how much money
Yeah, I mean, a
he has,
massive
right?
one. He's got the largest political operation in
Yeah.
the state. He's got the largest war chest. And typically when he puts his mind to something, he tends to be pretty effective. So we'll see how it goes.
And that war chest is $105 million at the moment, which is just insane. I mean, it was $90 million at the last filing period, and now it's 105. Just outrageous, the amount of money, how prolific he is at fundraising. But back to the Harris County thing, let's say he does flip it and does drive success down ballot. Well, that's something, if he decides to run for president or de facto run for vice president, whatever that is, he can use that as one of his chief feathers in his cap in pitching himself across the country to all of these states. It provides him a good foundation campaign-wise. He's got one on an issue, which is the school choice ESAs that he passed. This would be more political, and he could tell everybody this is a sign of what I'm like as a candidate, what I can do for a ticket. Then you look also in South Texas. They're going to have a huge presence there as well. That's going to be a bit dicier because the current dynamics are just more difficult for Republicans, and we're seeing in some of the early polling some buyer's remorse down among Hispanics in South Texas. Buyer's remorse of the current administration.
Yeah.
So does that trickle down? Does that bleed into Republicans' previous gains and cut against them that way? A lot of questions. One more thing that stuck out to me. Abbott said I asked him about property taxes, and one thing that stuck out when reading his original plan was his commitment to another appraisal cap, which blew up the 23 session between Dade Phelan and Dan Patrick. Well, the appraisal cap Abbott has in his plan is 3%, which goes further than what Dade Phelan proposed, which was, I think, 5%. Seems bold. Seems like a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him, right?
I mean, property tax, that's, I think, everybody's betting favorite for what's going to be the biggest political fight in this next session. And I mean, for good reason. It's something that a lot of voters want to see work on because taxes do keep going up. And so it'll be interesting to see how these initial plans get received in the legislature and how that works through. But I think it's going to be something that everybody is following and dealing with probably just about up to the last day.
Yeah. Well, property tax is an issue itself in this election. It is both an issue of massive import for the primary electorate on the Republican side. But Republicans also see that as their counterbalance to Democrats' affordability message.
Yeah.
And if they can say they're committed to cutting into that quite a bit, that is their counter messaging for what is currently, inflation still remains. Prices, if you look at the consumer price index, prices for groceries are still higher. Gasoline is actually dropping, so that will be an interesting factor to watch in the election this year. But check out the Abbott interview. We wrote a piece on the property tax issue that we published this week. Multiple pieces on other things like the Harris County thing.
Yeah, Harris County.
And just a lot of content to look at.
Yeah.
And
there's more on the way.
Always. Okay, so let's talk about this week. Some of the things we did. We went to a James Tallarico press conference that was outside the Office of the Attorney General, or one of the offices of the Attorney General, and he rolled out this quote anti-corruption campaign. There were a number of different items on it, none of which is really new. He's talked about these before on the campaign trail. When I went to Temple a week or two ago to see him there at an event, he mentioned most of these things there.
Yeah.
So,
and there are things like we're going to put term limits on the Supreme Court. We're going to make sure that campaign finance is adjusted, and it's all kind of usual Democrat fare. There was nothing that was like, oh wow, this is brand new, but definitely was targeted push. He said he was rallying outside of quote corruption HQ, because it was at the DoubleTree Hotel, kind of across from the Chili Parlor, so very close. And then across the street is a government office building, the Clements Building, that has a lot of different government agencies in there, employees, some of which are Office of the Attorney General employees, but Ken Paxton's office is actually like a few blocks away, over closer to the Capitol. So that was a little funny. We were also all trying not to fall into the pool.
Yes.
Because it was right next to the hotel pool, and so all the cameras were just lined up right there, and people were kind of balancing. And
it was kind of cold too. It was like 45 degrees or something.
Yeah, it would have been terrible. I kind of thought about pushing you in just to like make a story, but
that wouldn't have got caught on the live stream though.
No, not the live stream, but all the other cameras.
Yeah. I mean, it was classic Democratic messaging, and of course they're making the pitch that he is anti the candidate that they hope to be running against.
Yeah.
In November.
And there was a lot of other interesting things happening, because honestly, the Democrat primary in that race is very fascinating. It's going to be a very interesting one. And the day before, there had been an oppo dump in a national outlet called Notice that went through Jasmine Crockett, the other candidate for the Democrat primary, her campaign financing, and really attacked her over receiving money from big corporate PACs like BlackRock and kind of cryptocurrency aligned things. And then, we show up to the Tallarico event the next morning, and he's got all these glossy signs saying, no corporate PACs. It's a big thing. And then that morning also was a Emerson poll that showed him 9 points up on Crockett. So it was a very kind of definitely seemed like it wasn't an accident that all those things kind of were happening as he's having this little press conference there, trying to pick up momentum, because Crockett definitely came in and made a huge splash. Colin Allred the dropout, and word on the street is fundraising is going very well for
I did hear a number,
Crockett.
And it was pretty dang close to what Tallarico raised, only she did it in 23 days.
Yeah.
So we'll see what the actual number is at the end of the month, but we'll see if that intel was correct. But if that is, that's quite a haul.
Yeah. It's going to be a very well-funded primary, and just fascinating to watch. It'll be interesting to see how they try to position around each other. And I'm most interested to see if it's going to go hot. Is it going to get nasty?
Hasn't happened yet so far.
Hasn't happened yet, but
the dynamic there is that Jasmine Crockett believes herself to be the front runner, so front runners don't really attack the person behind them because that gives them
more name ID and things like that.
And then Tallarico is trying to he's trying to find this lane of niceness is too trite of a descriptor of it, but he's trying to be congenial in his campaigning and not go negative. I don't know if that's going to work for him though.
Yeah,
negative campaigning works for a reason.
Yeah, it does.
And
people want to see like somebody who's going to be a champion for their cause, and somebody who like they believe will, get their hands dirty and do the work and go for the throw when they need it. So it'll be interesting to see. I thought the oppo dump on Crockett's financing being rolled out at the same time as really him hitting the no corporate PAC money was an indication of like maybe he's going to get a little more bruising as things go on. But I don't know. We'll see if he flips that switch at some point.
Well, they've been hitting him on that for years, and certainly since he jumped in the race, but that's been a talking point for a while. The origin of that is he took money from, I believe it was Las Vegas Sands, back when He was, a few cycles ago, was just as a House member. And now he's running on not taking corporate money.
Yeah.
So that is one of the hits they're levying against him. For Crockett, though, she is a lightning rod of a candidate. And Republicans absolutely want to run against her. There was a whole NRSC. The NRSC fed a story to a couple national outlets about their role in recruiting her. And they apparently ran robocalls in her district or throughout Texas, asking people to call into her office and tell her they wanted to run for Senate. I don't know if that worked or not, but the desired result was achieved, right?
Yeah.
And that is because Republicans feel like she's an easier candidate to run against. We're already seeing this play out in a lot of these lower ballot races where just how nationally Republicans are tying every Democrat to Zohran Mamdani, the new New York City mayor. In Texas, they're tying everyone down ballot to Jasmine Crockett.
Yeah.
And I saw a video, I forget who tweeted it. Maybe it was James Berrigan over at Spectrum One, I think. But it was of a town hall at Talarico Town Hall, and it wasn't really a question how most of these, questions go at these events. Please phrase your statement in the form of a question. This person said, though, he's Hispanic, and said, I cannot vote for Jasmine Crockett because of the comments she said. The number one being that, at least that I've heard, she said, Hispanics in South Texas who voted for Trump have, quote, slave mentality. I don't know the broader context of that. Maybe it's an uncharitable view or framing of it, but it doesn't really matter because Republicans are going to run that ad.
Yeah.
Right? And they're going to run it constantly.
Yeah, and I mean, you see that also at the top of the ticket. Like just this morning, Friday morning, Paxton finally released his first ad, and all it is it's predominantly AI generated, but it's very much tying Cornyn to Crockett, because Cornyn had called Crockett like his favorite dance partner in D.C., and it's all these AI videos of Cornyn and Crockett together because they view the Crockett connection as, like everybody else down ballot, as like a very big negative. And so I think everybody's hoping she does, on the Republican side, win the Dem primary, because the messaging on that is just
Writes itself.
Yeah, writes itself for them. So,
what do you make of the other side, the Republican side? There were a lot of developments this week on that. We wrote about it basically all week in Daily Bull, one of which was pretty funny, and you went into harm's way to
oh, you talking about the AI?
The AI, yeah.
Yeah, well, the Texas House Democrat Caucus sent a letter to Attorney General Paxton demanding that he open an investigation into Elon Musk and X, the social media platform formerly known as Twitter, because there had been a proliferation of the Twitter AI generating very nasty, very illicit photos of women and children, and just like whatever switch they flipped on the AI, it was not a good one.
No.
And it caused a lot of problems.
It's a legit issue that needs to be addressed.
Serious issue. Musk changed some settings, limited that like image generation function to just paid subscribers. But internationally, governments, the EU, a whole bunch of other places, open investigations. Some countries banned the Twitter AI outright. So the House Democrats called on Paxton, demanding him to open an investigation. But when they announced it on Twitter, they posted a picture of Paxton in a red bikini, which was
horrific.
very scarring. I was traumatized. Brad's been walking me through this. I think the company's going to have to pay
I found
for
him
some
huddling in the
therapy.
corner the other day, just sobbing.
Completely broken down.
Yeah.
And then what was terrible on top of that, because we were joking about it, and then the comms guy over there at the caucus posted all of the drafts as well. So I was totally re-victimized. I was out at a bar. It was kind of late, And I see the notification, I open it up, and I'm just like, oh no, I was just getting better, So,
you hear that, Josh? You have ruined my business partner.
Yeah, just the first week, just got one shot at it immediately.
Hope you're proud of yourself.
And so, the AI stuff is going to be, obviously massive. And there was a lot of motion on that last session as well, right? There was even a bill that was proposed that would have banned, I guess, AI-generated content in political advertising.
Will require a disclaimer.
Yeah, required a disclaimer.
And then put in there some penalties for not including a disclaimer. And there was a lot of talk about it being an anti-meme. This was a bill by former Speaker Dade Phelan. And this was really on the nose because he filed the bill as HB 366, which was the original election night margin by which he won in the runoff. So there was a point he was trying to make there.
Yeah.
But he filed this bill, and there was a lot of talk about it being an anti-meme bill, and I don't debate about how far it extended, what it would apply to, but it was not written as an anti-meme bill. It was written because a mail piece ran in Phelan's district that photoshopped his face on Hakeem Jeffrey's body hugging Nancy Pelosi, and it didn't disclose that was a fake image.
Yeah.
And so that was the purpose of it. Obviously, everyone's going to have their opinions on whether that's appropriate or not, whether that's limiting free speech or not.
And that bill didn't pass. There were other bills addressing AI that did pass. Texas has kind of started to develop a regulatory framework and penalties for generating, illicit materials and things like that. And, it's one of the biggest questions nationally as well. I think every state, every governmental entity is dealing with how do we tame this new tiger, that's jumped into the world, because it's, has an opportunity, I guess, to be like a cool thing.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a Luddite about it. I don't trust it. The machine, the robot. I get so mad now because every single platform, every single thing I sign into, Gmail, Amazon, Word, whatever, it's immediately a pop-up like, do you want to use AI to think for you and stuff? And it's like, look, I know I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed, but I don't want no robot telling me what to think.
One time I had someone accuse me after reading one of my newsletters of having used AI, which I am also a Luddite on that. Will never use AI to write my stuff. And it was because I used M-dashes. And frankly, the thing I'm pissed off about the most with AI is appropriating my use of M-dashes.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even that. I don't use it as much as AI
Your
does.
culture is not the machine's
yes,
master,
right. But yes, exactly. But the just simply M-dashes are a legit use of punctuation.
Yeah.
Within reason, and it's become so prolific of
it's
AI
like a
using
sign
it of a sign that any use of it is like, okay, that's AI. No.
I mean, you are kind of a machine, always working.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I don't know what to do with that.
It's just a compliment.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
Sorry,
that.
I know it's surprising if I'm being nice to you. But.
Yeah. You caught me off guard there. But it's not just the application side of AI that the state of Texas is going to have to reconcile. It's all the support infrastructure that allows it to happen.
Yeah, that's huge. The data centers, I mean, local municipalities aren't liking it. It consumes a ton of energy, a ton of water. It's something new. It's going to be a massive, I think, fight that goes on for a while. And then, of course, the other side of that is like local control versus just technological development. It's a new thing, and either we, the other side, the argument on the other side is either Texas leads on that or we fall behind.
Because it's going to go somewhere.
It's going somewhere.
Yeah, but there was a case out in Hood County this past year. This was a Bitcoin miner, so it wasn't a data center, but the similar components apply because it's still it's not exactly the same setup, but it's close.
It's a ones and zeros operation.
Ones and zeros, yeah, with a lot of fans involved, which is the problem here because it's noisy and you have these people who move out in the middle of nowhere to
I
get
wonder
away.
what's noisier, crypto mining or like actual mining?
I guess it depends on when the blasts go off.
Yeah, right.
with
Are we
the
using
actual
dynamite
mine,
here? Or?
But there was a lawsuit filed to try and stop one of these things, or no, put a noise ordinance on one of these things, which would render the center not entirely obsolete, but it would drastically reduce its operations.
Yeah.
So you have this competition between, property rights and, part of that, which is a right to, quiet if you buy your property in a quiet place, or does a business have a right to just to build whatever they want next to you? Well, the flip side of that is property rights for the business too. So this is the thing that the state of Texas is really grappling with because of all this growth that's coming in.
This is one of the great reasons why I'm glad we're not lawmakers, because it's a lot of equities to balance. It's tough to kind of have all these sliding scales. You move one back and it moves another one up. It disturbs the balances, and it's tough questions, and we're going to be watching them very closely this next session, I think.
And you can say the exact same thing about property taxes. And that's a big reason why nothing massive ever happens, because you have all these competing interests with different ideas on what's a better tax system.
Yeah.
There are a million different ways you could design a tax system, and the prospect of just elimination is very difficult, if not logistically impossible, the way things are right now.
Sounds great.
Yes.
How do we get there? And that's
everybody agrees on reducing property taxes, but nobody agrees on how to actually do it. So, like what you said with that, with the population growth and business growth causing a lot of conflicting interests, lobbying these lawmakers say the same thing on that.
Yeah.
And so now we're seeing the lieutenant governor and the governor kind of setting the table for another property tax fight. My first session was 2019, and I remember that being declared the Super Bowl session in part because they passed this massive property tax reform. Well, guess what? Here we are again.
Yeah.
So
it's really the Sisyphus issue almost for Texas politics. Just rolling up that boulder every session, and it just keeps rolling back down.
Yep. Let's talk about the Republican side of the Texas or the U.S. Senate race. There was a big theme this week. Ken Paxton was actually kind of out of the fray.
Yeah.
In a lot of it, because John Cornyn and Wesley Hunt were going at each other, and specifically Wesley Hunt was getting attacked about his attendance, and he's in the state campaigning. He has a race to run, but there are votes still happening in D.C., and so Cornyn's team, of course, was jumping on the fact that Hunt missed, I think it was 28 to 31 votes, at least as of yesterday when we wrote the Daily Bull for Friday morning. And they have this website tracking it. They're going back and forth, attacking each other. Wesley Hunt responded something like, I'm not going to take any lectures from you, calling him a rhino and stuff like that. So there's no resolution to this.
Yeah.
But do you think it's getting any traction as an issue in this race?
I'm not sure. We'll have to see. I mean, it's interesting to me how much time Cornyn is spending attacking Wesley, who's, I think by every poll, definitely third, so not in a position to make the runoff right now. So you would think generally that Cornyn would spend all of his energy attacking Paxton, his most kind of direct competitor in the race. And he certainly has been spending time and a ton of money doing that. But the attention being focused on Wesley is interesting. I don't know if they're worried about him still or what exactly the play is. But, I mean, they're putting a lot, and people are asking that question because, Wesley Hunt is not the only person running a statewide campaign who is currently a member of the U.S. House. Chip Roy, running for Attorney General, also in a similar position, but isn't getting attacked over his attendance. But he's just also not on the campaign trail as much because he still has those responsibilities up in D.C. So it's interesting to see, that. I mean, gosh, man, we talk about us being busy. That sounds like a heck of a schedule.
At least we're not having to fly to D.C. all the time, right?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
That'd be awful.
Horrible city.
It's a fate worse than death.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I see it kind of the same. I think the fact that Cornyn is attacking Hunt, I don't think anybody's close to Paxton's not close to winning outright.
Yeah,
Nobody
it's going
is.
to a runoff.
It's going to a runoff. The question is who is joining Paxton in the runoff. And I don't think you would see Cornyn attacking Hunt in this manner if there was a comfortable distance between him and Hunt in whatever polling they're seeing.
Yeah.
I think he sees a potential, even if the odds are in Cornyn's favor to make the runoff, he sees a potential for Hunt to cut into that. And he wants to head it off at the pass, keep it from developing. But yeah, this thing's going to go into a runoff. Lots more money is going to be spent. We saw Paxton release his first campaign ad of the cycle, which was also AI. AI.
No bikinis,
produced.
Thankfully.
What was that?
No bikinis.
No
thankfully.
bikinis. We're not.
Don't even say it. Don't even.
Okay. I won't.
I don't want that mental picture. I'm protecting our listeners right now.
This race is going to cost probably $100 million.
Yeah, I mean, we're already halfway there.
Yeah, and just TV advertising.
Yeah.
Other media. It doesn't even include like the statewide mailers that have been going out, which are very expensive.
Yeah.
So that's obviously going to be the biggest thing people are watching.
Yeah.
Going
And
forward.
I mean, it's one of the biggest stories nationally, too.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of eyes, a lot of attention is being paid to this Texas showdown right now that we're having. And it's a fun one. It's a fun race. We have a lot of fun races this cycle.
I think the most interesting one's the Attorney General's race.
Yeah, I do, too. I mean,
what do you think of the fundraising numbers for that?
You know, I thought, with the exception of the outlier there of Senator Middleton's numbers, like they were all, the rest of the three people were all kind of closer than I think people really were expecting. You know, you have Senator Huffman there, and then Aaron Reitz, who used to work under Paxton at the Attorney General's office, then went and was on Cruz's team, Chief of Staff for Cruz, and then was a Trump-appointed member to the DOJ, and kind of like, you know, a new guy. He raised more than Huffman. Chip's got 4.1 cash on hand, and then, of course, Mays has, like, almost twice.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of money.
Yeah. Some observations on that. So,
and they're spending it. Or at least Chip and Mays are.
I assume that the other two will empty their clips on TV.
Yeah.
Maybe in the next 3 weeks once we
get that's another
early
one.
voting.
It's, you know, we know it's probably going to a runoff. Question is who's getting there.
Yeah. And I mean, I have seen some reporting that Roy thinks he can avoid a runoff. I don't see that with four candidates, all with fairly high profiles, right? Like there's nobody that's a nobody. In that field. And
they've all got substantial bags of cash.
Yes.
You know.
So some things that stuck out to me when I was looking through these. So Mays, his fundraising haul, $11.8 million. $11 million of that was basically repaying a loan to himself, to his own campaign, with his own money, of course, and then $1 million contribution to himself. So that puts his actual fundraise outside of his coffers at $800,000. Now it's all green; it all spends the same, right? So if he wants to spend his own money, he can, and he will. I think he'll put another $10 million in if he has to. Roy's fundraising haul was $4.5 million, I think, or maybe that was a cash on hand. It was roughly
that was
$4
cash
million.
on hand.
$2.1 million of Roy's raised amount was a contribution from his campaign, his federal campaign. So that's not new money. Now again, it all spends the same.
Yeah.
To some degree, it doesn't matter. But when we're talking about momentum and fundraising, you can't really count that. Just like you can't count Mays' money. So keep that in mind with Roy's haul. Wright's, one thing that stuck out to me was it seemed like a very high amount of money spent on fundraising assistance. $330,000, I think it was. Now, he brought in, what was it, $1.5 million?
Yeah, somewhere around
So he made plenty more than he spent. But I don't know. That stuck out to me, just the sheer amount that I saw spent on that. And then For her part, Senator Huffman spent a ton, $500K, on consulting. So those are large amounts of money, in my estimation, having been watching these finance reports for a while. But they still have plenty of money to spend.
Yeah.
They still got, almost $3 million each to dump.
And it'll be interesting to see how other state figures get involved, because really, Cruz endorsed Roy.
Yep.
And then after that, Paxton endorsed Aaron Wrights.
Mm-hmm.
But the others have kind of stayed out of it up to this point so far. I'll be interested to see if more people start putting their thumbs on the scale in a public way.
Well, part of it is you have all the statewides on the ballot.
Yeah.
So, like, Governor Abbott, Lieutenant Governor Patrick are probably not going to get involved.
Yeah, because you don't want to make
open primary.
The other people's voters mad,
Or the other people, right? Like,
yeah, that too.
Let's say Abbott endorses Roy, but Mays Middleton wins, and now Middleton's upset with Abbott.
Got a chip on his shoulder.
Good one. That's a calculation these guys make, right? So keep that in mind. The other thing that stuck out to me this week on the Attorney General's race was Mays starting to go negative on Chip.
Mm-hmm.
And we first saw, I was sent an ad that a third-party PAC is running that was attacking Roy, basically along the same lines as what we've seen Aaron Wrights particularly attack Chip on Twitter constantly. But this is the first produced media that we've seen. That PAC was Conservatives for Law Enforcement. I don't know, some conservative sounding name, and is run by former SRC member Chris Bird. Well, if you look in the history of this PAC, the biggest contribution it's gotten over the course of its life is from Mays Middleton. Now, all that money, if you look at the filings, have been spent. All that money's been spent, and it was spent cycles ago. But so we don't know for sure who's funding this. Bird said that there's gonna be a lot of money in this thing, and it seems to be the attack vehicle, or at least one attack vehicle for whoever the candidate is that they prefer.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe that's Middleton. Maybe that's Wrights. I doubt it's probably Huffman, but maybe, who knows? So we saw that, and then literally the next day, Mays Middleton goes on Mark Davis' show and hits Chip on
the same thing,
on basically the same stuff on air, and he didn't hold back. I think this is a growing trend. People are realizing, Middleton is realizing that you have to start cutting into Roy's lead, to Roy's name ID, because that's the advantage here. Everybody knows, not everybody, most people know who Chip Roy is because he's been so
prominent
in
national media.
Yes, and he's on Fox News constantly, right? Middleton doesn't have that advantage. Neither does Huffman nor Wrights. And so in order to gain, you kind of have to cut into Roy's floor. So Middleton is going to spend a lot of money. He feels like he said on the radio show that it's a race between himself and Chip. Wrights has said the same thing. Huffman, I don't think I've heard her say it, but she probably would say the same thing. Really, it's a race for second.
Yeah.
And then once you get to a runoff, all bets can be off. But Roy will still have that baked-in lead.
Yeah.
With the name ID. So
it'll be interesting to see how much he spends before the primary, if he believes that he has a chance of winning outright.
Mm-hmm.
And then if he does that and doesn't succeed, will he have enough money for a well-funded contentious primary if his dance partner is Middleton, Mm-hmm. So that's a good one. That's a really fun one. Honestly, the race that I was kind of blown away with how much money was in it, almost more money than the AG's race, was the comptroller race.
Yeah, tell me about that. I haven't been able to look into those much, but
yeah, I mean, it was
you
just
went through them.
Bukus of cash. Obviously, Huffines came in with the most. I'm not going to tender I haven't had enough sleep to try and repeat the numbers. But, Huffines, and then Hancock had, I think, $7.7 million. And then Craddock had over $3 million as well. So, I mean, and I think Huffines was several million more.
11 million.
Yeah, 11, I think.
I saw, yeah.
And so, I mean, between the three of them, that's almost 20 million. And it's, you know, I think most people would probably agree that Huffines is in the lead. But Hancock has a lot of support, obviously, from Abbott World. Abbott has done, you know, on-camera endorsement of him. And that's, you know, obviously, as we talked about with Harris County, like, the Abbott operation is very effective. But I don't think you can really discount Craddock as well. I mean, she has been a long-time political operator. She doesn't not have, like, a good amount. So I think that's going to be an interesting one. We'll probably go to a runoff as well, if I had to take a guess.
The couple of dynamics there to watch. First, how much does Abbott spend in this on behalf of Hancock?
Yeah.
Right? Or how much does he give to Hancock? He's his picked candidate. He absolutely...
Hancock, who is currently the acting comptroller.
Yep. Abbott does not want Don Huffines to be the comptroller, both for vindictive reasons of Huffines ran against him in the 22 gubernatorial race, but also I've heard concerns from the Abbott camp about how Huffines would run the comptroller's office.
Because he's going to be an independent actor. You know, he's not going to probably take cues from Abbott World.
I mean, the question that's been posed to me, and I don't know, I haven't asked Huffines about this, and maybe he'd say, yeah, that's silly, but this is being talked about. What if Huffines gets in there and refuses to certify the budget? And he would say, you know, this isn't fiscally conservative enough. Go back and do it again. And there's been, especially on the political right, this desire for a lot more of an involved and proactive comptroller rather than one that takes the responsibilities given to it by the legislature.
Because there's a lot of power in that office.
There can be.
You know?
There can be.
If it's used. I mean, Texas is set up so interestingly because it has such a separated executive power. You know, there's not, you know, obviously there's the governor, but, you know, you have all of these executive elected statewide officials. You know, you have the lieutenant governor, you have the AG, who's an elected executive, you have the comptroller, an elected executive, you have, you know, like, it's spread out amongst all of these different independent people. And if you have somebody who, you know, maybe takes their cues or just kind of plays things quiet, you know, people might forget about the comptroller's office. But if you get somebody like Huffines, who's a real firebrand and is going to, you know, turn over tables, it all of a sudden becomes something much more to watch and get involved in, and that people might be worried about, you know, because, like, I was talking to somebody on the Huffines camp the other day, and, you know, they can just audit any political subdivision. And that would open a lot of things, you know, like, let's crack open the books of Houston, Texas, Dallas, Austin, or another state agency. You know, so
well, the most famous comptroller in Texas history, I would say, is Bob Bullock. And he grew in notoriety across the state, which helped him then run for lieutenant governor. He did it as comptroller. You know how he did it? He would take the SWAT team that the comptroller has, which does exist.
Love that.
That's a very Texas thing.
Welcome to Texas. Yeah.
And go and stage raids on businesses that were defaulting on their franchise taxes. And he'd call the local media and he'd say, hey, this is about to happen. So the cameras would be there to set up already and get video of Bullock going in.
It's almost like Marvin Zindler, right? The old consumer protection guy out of Houston, just rolling in with the camera and taking names.
So it was kind of a stage campaigning with office resources. We see that all the time. But it was smart.
Yeah.
And it gave him a lot of name recognition and allowed him to jump the ranks down the road. Well, I don't know if Huffines has the personality for that kind of thing as like himself, but that doesn't mean he can't do something like that.
Maybe you just gave him the idea.
Maybe I did. Maybe he will.
Maybe Hancock will start doing that.
Maybe it becomes in this race we're all talking. We all being all the candidates are talking about making government more efficient and auditing and whatnot. We'll add to that comptroller SWAT teams.
Goes hard. I mean, that's hard in the paint, you know.
Yeah. The other thing, though, to keep in mind is people are sleeping on Christy Craddock in this race. Who knows where this thing is at right now, right? There's so many factors to play, and a lot of it's going to be determined at the top of the ticket, right?
Yeah.
But Craddock's been on the statewide ballot multiple times. That's a kind of name ID that you can't buy. Huffines has the same thing from his run for governor. Hancock does not have that.
Yeah.
So if you look at the knowns and unknowns in the few polls that have existed, Craddock and Huffines are a lot higher as a percentage. People still generally don't know who any of them are. But still a lot higher than Hancock because they've been on the ballot more. So there's no accounting until we see the returns on election day. No accounting.
Yeah.
Until we see that, no accounting for how much that affects this.
Yeah.
Right. So that's definitely going to be a fun race to watch.
There's a lot of fun ones. A lot of fun ones.
We've got Sid Miller against Nate Sheets for the agriculture commissioner's spot. This is like the third or fourth time people have tried to take out Sid Miller, and it has not gone anywhere at all.
Sheets has more cash on hand than Miller. But also Miller holds the historical record for receiving the most votes ever in a Texas election.
When was that?
Last cycle.
Oh, really?
Yeah, last time they ran.
In 22?
He got more votes than Abbott did.
Interesting. Because I know when I got here in 19, I think that record was held by Eva Guzman as a Supreme Court justice. But I guess that in 22, Miller eclipsed that.
Yeah, because there was a pretty big turnout, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you factor in the fact that the state's growing and it's easy.
Yeah, right.
Easier cycle after cycle to increase that, to set the record.
He got the most votes out of anybody on the ticket.
Yeah. Okay. We're almost done, I think. Let's recap just like top line fundraising. We put this in the Daily Bowl. We mentioned Abbott already. He was at $105 million. He raised like $22 million. Patrick's he's got like $38 million cash on hand, raised about $3 million in the second half of last year. And then Speaker Dustin Burrows had what I think is probably the largest fundraising haul of a speaker that I've ever seen. I think Dave Phelan pulled in, $3.6 million roughly, one of the cycles that he was speaker, but Burrows pulled in 4.7, I think
something like that.
So
it was all very impressive. And I mean, like, even on the other side, the House Democrat caucus had a pretty solid fundraising haul, and there's just a lot of money.
Lined up with their corn break in the summer, right? And they're going to be using that to help their members in battleground districts. One that comes to mind is, I think, Marianne Perez, who was in one of those districts last year, who had no Republican opponent, but Trump won. Different cycle. This cycle is a lot friendlier to Democrats currently than 2024 was, but that district still, I think, rated like D51. So that's gettable for Republicans if they have a good candidate. I don't recall who the candidate is. I think it was a last-minute filer. But what money Democrats do have, and it's not a lot because they've been locked out of power for 30 years, so the big national money that goes into other states doesn't come here.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that stood out to me is we were going through those campaign finance reports. Is just like, outside of the Senate race and then a couple of these House seats, in some like the longer term like senators who have kind of an independent bag, a lot of these Democrat candidates just have no money, especially like compared to on the Republican side. So those ones that do have a chance, I think, will obviously get the attention from the state party, and it will certainly be competitive and something to watch.
I saw today the Texas Democratic Party actually outraised the Republican Party of Texas in this cycle. Not that it really matters that much because we're in a state and just a political environment across the whole country where we have weak parties.
Yeah.
And especially so when it comes to the fundraising front, because all the money is centered in Greg Abbott, Dan Patrick, right? This is not a world where the party apparatus is taking the lead on setting up this campaign apparatus.
They're not the ones
infrastructure.
holding the bag for the candidates.
Yeah, yeah. And then one more thing that as we've been trudging through this dang spreadsheet, I've been noticing.
I close my eyes, I just see spreadsheets
Yeah.
and campaign finance reports.
So Texas Majority
horrifying.
PAC keeps popping up, and that is the Democratic-aligned group that most of its money comes from George Soros. Insert, Darth Vader music here. There's a lot of billionaires in politics, and he's just the one that's most infamous, of course, on the political right. So he's talked about a lot. But they did something smart. They fielded candidates against every single Republican on the ballot. Every single one. No Republican has an off general election. Now, in a lot of these districts, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because it's so heavily Republican that...
But it does mean they have to spend money.
Does mean they can't just mail it in entirely.
Yeah.
And so...
they might send out mailers, but...
Yes. Yes. So Texas Majority PAC paid $750 for each one of these candidates to file.
Yeah.
And
which has made our work a lot longer.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yes. I don't think they're making that decision taking us into account.
No, they didn't think about us. They didn't think about us in all
Many
this.
such cases.
Yeah, right.
Well, we're about done.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add
Well,
about
just
this?
looking forward to the next week. For this launch week, we've been sending everything out for free. Starting next week, the newsletters will be going behind a paywall. So if you haven't subscribed, you need to go Texas Bullpen /subscriptions. You need to subscribe so that you keep getting all of the updates. If you don't get them, you're going to be behind. Everybody else who gets them will know what's going on, and you'll just have to ask them what's happening, and you don't want to be in that position. So you've got to do that. Make sure you're staying on top of it. Things next week, I'm going to be flying out to New Orleans because Texas is arguing 4 big cases before the Fifth Circuit. So you're going to want to be getting the updates there. The Fifth Circuit doesn't stream those arguments, so I'll be there in the courtroom and then coming out and telling y'all what happened. So those are going to be interesting. It's going to be on the 10 Commandments. There's a death penalty case that's very interesting. Also on SB 4, the big border bill.
Oh, yeah.
And then
That's been dormant for a while.
Yeah, it has. I mean, it's just been kicking around. And then, it got slowed down, obviously, with Trump winning and the border not being as, big of an issue
It wasn't
anymore.
as urgent as of a lawsuit anymore.
Exactly. And it was just such a beast of a case there. And then on Friday, they've got the West Texas A&M drag show ban that's being heard as well. So a lot of interesting things coming up.
All of those were, high-level marquee bills were passed by Republicans over the last couple cycles that received a lot of press coverage.
Yeah. So obviously the decisions won't come out, but hearing the arguments, listening to the judges' questions will certainly give us an indication of maybe what's going to be coming down the line whenever they do release those opinions. So a lot of things cooking, a lot of irons in the fire, a lot of juggling, spinning plates, and we're going to be there live from New Orleans. I've never been to New Orleans, so
Please come back in one piece.
I will do my
I can't
level
do this
best.
alone.
Yeah.
Not least because your name's on all the tax documents, and I don't know how I'm going to get anything approved without your say.
It's okay. I haven't died yet, so
Okay.
but I will be doing investigative reporting in New Orleans and checking out all the places.
Well, we look forward to that. This podcast will come out every Saturday morning, so subscribe, like, whatever. Leave us a 5-star review. Apparently that helps spread the algorithm.
Do everything so the machine likes us.
Yes. Even though we just trash talk the machine in about half of this podcast. But every Saturday morning we'll come to you in a format just like this. We'll be chatting. Also Saturday mornings, the Bullpen Scoville Skill. I think y'all will enjoy that. Subscribe in order to get Daily Bull, which I've been getting rave reviews about it. People like it.
Yeah.
They like the tone. They like the substance. They like the fact that it's in their inbox every morning.
Yeah.
So
It's a one-stop shop.
Yep. And then, of course, just go visit TexasBullpen.com.
Yeah.
We'll be having a lot more to come.
And if you have any tips, reach out, email us, DM us on Twitter. We're there, and look forward to continuing to do this. And again, thank you so much for everybody who has subscribed already and gotten involved and given us feedback this first week. It's been a phenomenal launch, and we are looking forward to onwards and upwards. So,
been a long time coming, and we're glad to finally get it off the ground. We'll catch you guys next week.